Oftentimes we think that something is wrong with us. Why can't we figure it out? Why can't we feel this way? Why can't we feel that way? It's just an observation without judgment, right? It's just an awareness. And I continue to get in my own mind, and it's making me mad. I don't feel like I am fulfilling my, I want to say, purpose right now. I feel like I, Tabitha, as a human, am getting my own way, and it's making me mad. But this is the lesson in itself, is that when we are striving to become something or to do something or to be something, and we don't feel that we are living up to that own internal expectation of that we put on ourselves, we begin to feel a sense of dissatisfaction. But really, that's just something that we have set for ourselves. And sometimes we're going to get in our own way. It is what it is. You can't move beyond that. I mean, you can't deny that will happen. And when it happens, you simply just recognize that it is happening. It is happening. It is what it is. It's the recognition that is doing the healing. Because when we allow ourselves to become so frustrated, we're not recognizing what's happening. We're overriding the experience with an energy and emotion that's so strong that it's taking away the realization of what's happening. It's, in a way, suppressing it. So the more that we allow ourselves to just acknowledge these unsatisfying feelings, the more that we just allow them to take place, the more that we allow ourselves to expand. Things aren't always going to feel blissful. It's just the nature of being a human. It's the nature of experiencing this world as a physical human being. As I'm saying this, I'm like thinking, gosh, I'm so uncomfortable, yet I'm comfortable, but yet I'm starting to notice, like maybe I'm becoming more sensitive, right? I'm becoming more sensitive. I'm becoming more of what's aware. My awareness of my reality is becoming more sensitive. And we fight this because it feels like an agitation. But what can we do about it? What can I do? I can rip all my clothes off, right? And then what? Then I would mentally be uncomfortable as well, because then I would be fully exposed, and that would not be comfortable either. So it's almost like, okay, it's just, this is happening. Oh, I have an awareness of feeling uncomfortable physically in these clothes. And that's all it needed, was the acknowledgement. And now I can move on. We are driven as humans. We're driven. We are a natural, driven, ambitious species. And it's interesting because as I say this, I start to analyze, so what other species are ambitious and driven? Well, everything, really. But it comes out in different ways, right? We have this curiosity that we seek. We want to know. We want to know what's on the other side. We want to know. It's just curiosity. That's all. It's just a curiosity. This too shall pass. That's what we are most of us have been taught. This too shall pass. This feeling of agitation, unsatisfaction, it will pass. It will move on. You will move on. And you will feel that once blissful feeling again, that ease, that peace of mind, that everything is in place again. And then that will ride out for a while. And then you'll come across another bump in the road. And then you'll go back. But for the most part, I would say 90% to 10%, our lives are good. Our lives are positive. Our lives can be optimistic. Our lives can be filled with desire, abundance, excitement. There is this 10% per se that is required of the human experience to feel these unsatisfying feelings, this suffering, this agitation, this anger, this resentment, this bitterness. In a way, it is a requirement for growth, for expansion. I didn't know that, but here I am telling you. But it's not to, you're not to stay in that 10%. No, but that's the problem. That's oftentimes what happens is we have a struggle. We all do in our own ways. And we think we're either the only one or no one understands because we don't talk enough about it. Things are changing now, where more and more this will be talked about. This information will be channeled. This information will be spread. That it's okay to have these feelings of unsatisfaction, pissed off, anger, resentment, suicidal thoughts. Yeah. We're going to start talking more about these uncomfortable feelings more and more. And that will be the key to much liberation. Because oftentimes, even though we connect, we're around other people, we connect through social media, a lot of times we feel alone. We feel no one gets it, no one understands, no one has gone through it. Because oftentimes what we experience as a struggle is private in a way, right? It's in a way private unless something traumatic happens to many people at once. And then that's why we feel this dire connection with others, because, oh my gosh, others are experiencing this with me, such as 9/11. In a way, it brought people together because it was such a scary, traumatic event that many people experienced at once. And so the irony of this trauma was that it brought people together, it connected us. And so as a whole, we will begin to talk more about these uncomfortable feelings, these traumas. We will start to admit that we're feeling quite unsatisfied. The more that we allow ourselves to talk about this, the more that we will allow ourselves to heal and thus project ourselves into that 90% of happiness. We'll start to, as a community and society and culture and humanity, human species, we will begin to divert ourselves more into that 90% and less of the 10%. Although they are both required to grow, but a lot of times what happens is that 10% we stay in that, and then we start to focus more on the negativity. And so that 10% becomes 20, 30, 40, 50, and then all of a sudden we are on the verge of passing away. Or we've gone through something so traumatic, or we've allowed so much energy to affect our bodies. So now we have physical ailments and diseases. But if we would have just maybe talked about those little things that bother us in our mind. We could heal them in the moment. Now, there are those that must hold space for this healing to take place. And those that are holding space will also need to heal. And so we must open our hearts to just holding space for other people. We're not taking on others' energies. That's important to remember. We're not trying to take their pain and house it. Because then, now, we're doing the opposite of healing. Now we're taking on others' pain. We don't want to do that. And instead, we want to send it to the light. So be a bowl, a container, a space for someone to allow for healing to take place. And allowing for this non-judgment of, I'm just here for you to express, and that's all that's necessary. So as you're holding space for that person or that community or that area that's needing healing, as you're holding space, you are allowing yourself to also be a channel to then send it to the light. You're holding space. You're not holding the energy within you. You're allowing it to be a direct channel through you. So that's very essential to remember in this work. So all you must do is allow yourself to be open to listening. A lot of times we're not needing someone to tell us exactly what to do. We're just needing someone to listen to us so we can get out this energy that's been housed in the body. Verbally is one way of doing that. Expressing yourself artistically, paint, drawing, movement, physical movement, right? That's another way of exerting this energy, allowing this energy to come out. Space can be held in different ways as well. But oftentimes, that connection from one to one, of human to human, is the most beneficial. And oftentimes we are taught not to talk about it. Nope, we don't talk about family secrets. Nope, nope, nope. That is no longer going to be and never was sustainable. That is what is holding us down, even time after time, history after history. Now, what's happening is the more that we hold in these feelings and thoughts and secrets, the more that when the time comes when they are expressed, that this anger, it will turn into rage, right? But if we just do it slowly, and if we do it honestly, and if we do it with a humble heart, if we do it with a safe space, if we accept that this is the human reality, then it won't come out in rage. It won't come out in a misinterpreted way. It will come out and people will perceive it from a sense of compassion rather than that person's wrong, that person's ridiculous, oh my gosh, I can't. The species, humans, will begin to see things a little easier. They'll begin to feel a sense of acceptance. Right now, it might feel a little dramatic, right? Because a lot of suppressed and repressed energy is coming out in such a harsh manner, energetically, that we find it hard. It's like it's going from like point A to point Z. rather than slowly unfolding. But eventually things will start to slow down and things will start to be more accepted, right? And it's already happening, right? It's already happening. We see the uniqueness of people coming out. But now it will start to, instead of seeing it as they're right and I'm wrong and I'm right and they're wrong, instead of seeing it that way, we'll start to say, huh, that's interesting. That's different. That's different. But okay, that's all there is to it. It's different than my train of thought. All right, okay, sure. Well, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. Okay, moving on. All right. And so that will eventually be, and then that will create a massive sense of peace, because what's happening is a lot of the destruction in the world is from those that have suppressed and repressed a lot of dense energy over time. That's why that's why we are needing a change in environmental sustainable practices. We think that we can keep denying, but more and more people are starting to express. So, to summarize, to know that it is safe to be yourself. Allow yourself to just talk to someone, or just join a group where others are talking about something. That doesn't mean you have to immediately, but you're in that space where people are opening up, right? Find a way to allow yourself to express what it needs to express. Then that is the form of healing. And then the more that we do this, we are encouraging others, either directly or indirectly, to do the same. And then others will want to do the same, and then others will want to hold space because they're healing, and it's this beautiful unfoldment. So be the brave pioneer, the brave advocate, the brave starter, the brave person to be vulnerable with your emotions and see the unfoldment happen. Oh, I feel much better, right? Wow. Oh, I just needed to say it. I just needed to admit it. And now once you say that that has happened to you, then that person can open up and say, oh my gosh, that has happened to me. Oh my gosh, I thought this whole time it was just me. I had no idea. Because we think that we're alone, and we're not. This isn't to take your experience away from you, because that is your experience. But that, ironically, is what makes you who you are. That gives you your unique perspective. That gives you your strengths, right? But we don't want to remain in that area, that 10%, right? We want to start to arch our way up, right? So acknowledge it, express it, talk about it in some way, release it, let it go. And I just thought of yoga as well. Movement, body movement. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves in a state of flow and we forgot where we were. And as I'm saying this, I'm starting to come back. Please share this. Get this out. This is necessary. This information is vital. This information is already out there in texts. people are already expressing this, but the more that we get this out, the more that we can help ourselves and help others. And then we can just be who we want to be. We don't have to feel rage. We don't have to. It's okay if you are. Remember, it's okay. And so it is. As I'm now aware of like my surroundings, I'm looking out my window and my elm tree is starting to grow its little leaves. They're only like this big right now, and being, very big. It's the seasons, right? The knowing that the sun will come back out. The seasons will continue to change. It's the seasons of our lives as well. Thank you for being here with me, receiving this information. All is well. Until next time.